Well, the Democratic Alliance is forming what it calls a Moonshot pact with other opposition parties. This in a bid to unseat the ANC in next year's elections. It says 6 political party leaders have agreed to attend the National Convention for the Moonshot pact that is expected to take place in just a few weeks. But it is still waiting to hear from the African Independent Congress, the African Transformation Movement, Abantu Batho Congress, Pan-African Congress, as well as the Minority Front. But ATM Leader Vuyo Zungula is one of the leaders of opposition parties who have not yet responded to the DA's invitation. He joins us now, perhaps to give us an update on where the party stands. And Vuyo, thank you so much for your time this morning. Good morning to you. That is the question. Where does the ATM stand in as far as the Moonshot Pact is concerned?
Firstly, we want to clarify that Mr. Steenhuisen only sent us an email last Friday, and he purported to have sent another email on the 3rd of April, which was not true. So our position as the ATM on the matter is that we will not be part of any coalition or any pact that is anti-certain political parties, because it is our view as the ATM that we need to have an organization or a coalition or working together of different political parties for the benefit of South Africans. You will recall that for the longest time, the DA has been sustained in the local municipalities by being voted by EFF. Now they are viewing EFF as a devil. They have clearly stated that as long as Mr. Ramaphosa is president of the ANC, they may be willing to work with him next year after the 2024 elections. Now, suddenly, they are changing their tune on that. So it is our view as the ATM that what the DA is doing, it is not genuine. It is not in the best interest of the country. It is a self-righteous, initiative that seeks to undermine the good work that has been done by General Holomisa. General Holomisa has been leading conversations with opposition parties on issues of national importance, from load shedding, the Pala issue, crime, unemployment, border security, etc. Now, that conversation has been well attended by all leaders of the different political parties, and it was very clear that that conversation is about the people of South Africa. It is not anti-certain parties.
So what about the other opposition parties that perhaps were willing to at least have a sit-down with the DA? I know you don't speak on their behalf, but from your understanding, are they still ongoing with General Bantu Holomisa's pact in terms of what he has started and as far as galvanizing and organizing different parties to come up with solutions for the benefit of South Africans?
Indeed. Look, next week there is a meeting that has been organized by that forum led by General Holomisa. That forum will be meeting with the IEC to discuss issues concerning the IEC in preparation for next year to ensure that IEC does deliver credible elections. So as you can see, that forum, it is not power-based, or it is not about power-mongering or, subjugating other political parties. Rather, that forum is about dealing with the lived realities and dealing with the issues that are affecting the country, dealing with the concerns of political parties leading to the elections next year. So those parties are there, and I want to assume that they'll also be in attendance next week when we meet with the IEC. But I do want to stress that there's the discussions with these opposition parties. There is nothing that has been discussed when it comes to being anti-certain organizations. We want to put it very clearly that there's, an anti-certain political party conversation will never work in South Africa. But an organization or a coalition that is pro the people of South Africa, dealing with the lived realities of the people, that has got a chance to work.
Are you referring here specifically to the DA's almost, fixation with the ANC and also the ANC and EFF possibility of a coalition? And we heard John Steenhuisen often referring to it during their last Congress, some criticizing it as more of, the DA just focusing on the political party, but not necessarily, the challenges that South Africans face.
Yes, look, firstly, it is a hypocrisy of the DA. They've been voted for by the EFF to be mayors in the different municipalities. They've never had an issue with the EFF. They've clearly stated that Mr. Ramaphosa, if he's president, they can work with him next year. They can enter into a coalition with the ANC next year. Now, suddenly, they want to change, and they want to get other parties to also change with them. So we find that as hypocritical as the ATM, but I do want to stress again that any coalition or any discussion about coalition must be based on principle and must be based on the people's issues and the realities of the people and how to resolve the issues that are faced by the people. Perhaps the reason why some of these coalitions at the local government level are failing, it is because of stance like Mr. Steenhuisen or DA's stance that is not bringing any genuine solutions to the people. It is about coalitions of allocating positions of power to their respective parties. It is not coalitions that are based on principle of dealing with the issues that are faced by the people.
Mr. Zungula, I mean, oftentimes, we've heard from, other political parties who are willing at least to have a sit down with the DA on certain conditions that obviously are privy to their interests as those parties, saying they wouldn't want the DA to take a big brother stance. Do you share the same sentiments? Do you think that DA potentially could be taking more of a big brother stance here, calling this a Moonshot pact, but in reality, them calling the shot, tabling what needs to be done in the interests of the DA, not necessarily other parties that will be part of the Moonshot pact? Or do you think it would be a fair game for all parties that do decide to form part of this pact?
It's very clear this is a big brother mentality by the DA, because if it was about the equality of opposition parties, there would have been a sit-down by these parties, and by the sit-down by these parties, they would identify, for example, parties they would not want to work with. They would identify modalities that would be used to make sure that the pact is able to function to the best interest of the people. But the DA has already decided on behalf of the other parties, number one, which parties are excluded, number two, what are the conditions. Basically, the other parties are invited to rubber stamp the DA's decisions, which makes them, renders them redundant, because why would you join a conversation whereby decisions have been taken, but your voice or your name is just needed just to sign, to make it as if you are having any sort of contribution, whereas in the true sense of things, there's no contribution from your side. So it is our view as the ATM that this, in contrast to what has been done previously by the Forum of Opposition Parties, goes against the spirit of opposition party collaboration and equality. And we've seen how opposition party collaboration and equality has yielded good results, because when it comes to Pala, it is through the work of opposition parties that we got to where we were. When it comes to the issues of load shedding and putting pressure on the government, it is because of opposition party collaboration. But on this one, the opposition political parties are invited to the DA's kraal, whereby the only bull there, it is the DA, it is what the DA says, and what the DA says, it is what will go.
We'll leave it there, and I appreciate you speaking to me about this morning. ATM Leader Vuyo Zungula, thank you so much for your time.